My trade, that is the tradition of stone carving and of building in stone, is a very old one in Ireland. Right down the country there are wonderful examples of stonework. With the development of the Norman French orders, Cistercian orders, Franciscans, they came and they built some wonderful abbeys. Stone was used as timber is used today. It was used for everything. People were absolutely familiar with stone. It was always in the ground, it was right near you, and you built your abbeys right near it, as they built them near the streams. You had to have water for the mortar and you had to have water to live. So nobody was foolish enough to build an abbey far away from a river. When I see an abbey like Kilcrea, it's a very moving experience. Not so much the concern of aesthetics, so much as the marvellous achievement with a most unwieldy material. And stone can be cantankerous and difficult, but Ireland was always described as a bitch of a stone, and I'm sure the monks had the same thing to say about it. This is a very fine tomb, the tomb of Arthur Leary, who was killed at Carriganemme. It's a table tomb and carries a wonderful inscription composed by his wife, Eileen Dove. Lo, Arthur Leary, generous, handsome, brave, slain in his bloom, lies in this humble grave. Died 4th of May, 1773, aged 26 years. This is the choir where the monks or the priests would say their office. On the left is the tomb of the founder, Cormac Lyther MacCarrig. It was traditional that the founders were buried on the gospel side of the churches. This is one of the finest stones I've seen anywhere. 18th century, beautifully cut Roman lettering and a very nicely designed top. I noticed it's signed D. Hickey Arle. It has the motif, the cock and the pot, which I think comes from an old medieval legend. The cock, when he heard of the betrayal of Christ at Gethsemane, came from the pot and screeched or crowed. It has an IHS and some decorative tree treatment with two little birds, and it makes a lovely pattern. The style of the stone itself is just a simple scantling and nicely moulded with the bead and fillet, and the whole thing is very, very pleasing indeed, and a really grand example of first-class craftsmanship. This is the main part of the abbey, the cloister. It usually had a grass centre with an arcaded walk all round. It was used by the priests or monks for meditation. The stonecutters always went and looked at graveyards. Looking at other men's work was always interesting. You always learned something from it. You got a chance at despising something also. Here we have a picture gallery spanning nearly 200 years. It contains various sorts of headstones. Early 18th century ones with the nice lettering and good shape and well masoned. The classical with the urn from the early 19th century when everybody was talking about Grecian urns. All this classical concept which was brought in by Byron, Shelley and Keats. We have railed in sections also with iron railings, which of course shouldn't be allowed in any graveyard, but were part of a period when graves were robbed and body snatching went on to help the students in the medical schools. Over here we have an intriguing combination of stones side by side. One 18th century stone with lovely lettering and nicely designed head and nicely carved top. In the centre, a Celtic cross headstone, which is a very good type of stone. It allowed you a fair amount of room for an inscription, which is one of the faults of a Celtic cross. The dice stone was always too small and got filled up very quickly. Then you have a stone much later, I think it would be roughly about 1870. It has inserted marble panels and a cross put on top. Indeed, very poor craftsmanship and no taste at all. Then you have headstones where ornamentation takes over. Funereal arrangement of flowers and crosses, very sentimental, carved in Italian marble, really vulgarized, lettering crowded and full of mouldings that belong to wood rather than stone. Really no display of taste at all. It reminds me of a few lines from a poem by Emily Dickinson, the New England poet. Ostentatious tombs proclaiming to the gloom how dead they are. If Danny Merritt, one of the characters out of Stone Mad, were here, he'd say, "What's all this old guff about stone? We have it morning, noon and night. Stone, the bloody word looms up everywhere." And why wouldn't it? Because our work is to be seen in town, village and country, and the men who have come before us have left us a heritage to be proud of. They have certainly affected me. Stone is in my system, and I doubt if I'll ever get it out of it.